Uncle Mark.
Well, hello.
I am confused.
Are you confused?
I am confused, for indeed, for lo, I know not what Uncle Doug has in store for us.
What he hath done.
Yeah. What hath Doug wrought in the world today?
Forgive them, Father. Yeah, Doug has a surprise on tap for us today, and it's because it is the first day of the Advent calendar, I think,
and one of the days of Hanukkah. So I'm pretty sure that it's the day that you blow out the candle and get a surprise from Uncle Doug.
That's right. Well, I figured because this subject is something quite well known to both of you, I thought I would surprise you on the air with it. It's something we've been kicking around for a while, but it finally, had its the dreidel finally came up with this subject on it. So come with me, if you will, to the headier days of the late 1990s. We were so innocent then. The prequels had yet to come out and ravage our childhood memories. And Donald Trump was just that loser enthusiastically pointing at a pile of meat. No doubt to anyone under 30 or not from Utah, the name Superdell Schanze will mean exactly nothing.
Oh my God.
But those of us unlucky enough to recognize that name, I'm confident I have just triggered a torrent of painful and stupid memories.
Actually, I'm quite delighted by my memories of Superdell.
Well, how can we miss him if he won't go away?
He's more kind of Mormonism's late stage Rudy Giuliani. Right?
Exactly.
That's perfect. I don't know. Has Rudy ever kicked a bird?
Probably. Almost certainly.
Followed by a hilarious pratfall.
Right.
I've been thinking about talking about the rise and fall of Superdell Schanze over...
So he's the topic? I thought he was just a reference.
Nope, he's the topic. We're talking about Superdell Schanze today.
Let's fucking do this.
Yay.
Rock and roll, baby.
Yeah, let's take our minds off of the plague for a few minutes. Ever since we started the podcast, I've been thinking about talking about this guy because his story is so inextricably linked to Utah and the weird cloistered culture of the Mormon church that it could really only happen here. Or so I thought. As I began to piece together his bizarre and vaguely annoying life story, I began to see parallels to a life story, an attitude, and a demeanor of another improbable and annoying character. Let's see if you can guess who by the end. Now, this guy is still alive, and as we'll soon see, is no stranger to the court system. So under the advice of Andrew Torres, Esquire, I am going to tread carefully. Everything I'm about to say comes from news stories, court proceedings, and Schanze's own mouth. So I'll try to not get.
So you're asking us who else he sounds like by this description?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it'll be somewhat obvious when we get to the end.
Okay.
Dell Schanze was born in Ithaca, New York, in 1969. He made his way to Utah at the age of 12 after his parents divorced. On his Facebook page, he claims to have skipped high school and gone directly to Cornell University.
I could not let anybody into Cornell.
Yeah, I could not find any evidence of this.
It's totally skipped high school.
Yeah, just went right into
Not
Cornell.
one day.
Yeah. In 1996, at the age of 27, Schanze founded Totally Awesome Computers, which is why any of us know his name. It was a completely forgettable PC sales, repair, and refurbishment company, utterly indistinguishable from the thousands of other PC shops popping up at the time. Basically, every strip mall in America had
next to the check cashing place.
Precisely. Right? It was indistinguishable except for one thing, its eccentric owner and his willingness to embarrass himself.
Yes.
Schanze embarked on a relentless and inescapable ad campaign featuring himself and his blonde flat top in all its Ritalin-fueled glory. These obnoxious ads were everywhere on local TV. As annoying as they were, and they were annoying, they were hard not to notice, and within a few years, they were paying huge dividends.
Yeah, he was consciously obnoxious.
To be fair, yeah, it wasn't.
But also, I mean, can we just point out the fact that the phrase, younger people might not know this, but even in the 90s, the phrase "totally awesome" was done.
It was played out.
He named his computer company something that was like the rest of us were already like, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
where some great comedians kind of hone their skills on the road at little comedy clubs.
Yeah.
Dell's sense of humor was definitely honed at the MTC.
Exactly. He was far more Carrot Top than he was Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
At its height, Totally Awesome Computers operated 9 stores up and down the Wasatch Front and was estimated to be worth several $1 million. Schanze poured even more dollars into this Chinese water torture of an ad campaign, running ads during prime time, sporting events, before movies in theaters, and anywhere else you cared to look. Although Schanze and his campaign predated YouTube and social media, this garbage went viral. Although when I say
And to be clear, he called himself Superdell.
yeah,
You introduced him as Superdell Schanze. That was a self-given moniker.
that's right.
Yeah, that was not given by the Super Friends. That
That's right.
was he, like Napoleon, he crowned himself, right?
That's exactly right. And although his crap went viral, when I say viral, I mean more like herpes, in the sense that they were painful, embarrassing, never welcome, and nobody wanted to see more of them. But
Right.
except for his ads and personality being brutally annoying, he seemed, like Earth in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, to be mostly harmless. That, dear uncles, would turn out not to be true. Does that sound a little familiar about somebody? Anyway, flush with cash, Schanze went big into paragliding in 2003. And
I love that. That's the obvious track.
right, exactly. So he took up paragliding, and then in 2003 he founded Totally Awesome Guns and Range. It turns out that Schanze was just a bit of a gun nut, and in what would evolve into an impressive rap sheet, Schanze was charged with a concealed weapons violation in 1992. He publicized his gun business with the same crazed intensity as his computer business. The most famous ad, I don't know if you guys remember this, that he made for his gun business, featured a young, obviously white woman cowering in her house as a dangerous intruder, who was also white, only because I'm sure Schanze didn't know any black people to put in the cast, prowls around the house, scraping his Bowie knife along the bricks.
No.
When he finally gets to the door and begins futzing with the lock, she opens up with the heretofore unseen, fully automatic machine gun and unloads the whole clip on him.
Jesus.
It was a nuanced message.
Yeah. Subtlety was really his forte.
Exactly. Yeah, just like McNaughton, these guys just do not get nuance and subtlety.
No. The only setting on their dial is 11.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is so true of Schanze. So it was at this time that he was at his zenith. He had 2 thriving businesses. He was a minor local celebrity, and he began parlaying that celebrity into new ventures, including a series of leadership DVDs, which, try as I might, I could not find anywhere.
Oh no!
I really tried.
Somebody send it to us. We need it.
Please.
Doug, sometimes if you go like at night, if you go behind DI, like there's bins that they don't even put garbage in. They're just things that they hope people will steal.
God,
You should
nobody
check
even
that out.
knows what DI is outside of Utah.
That's the Mormon thrift store, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe how much Superdell Schanze was a product of the Mormon culture of Utah. Not only is that spastic enthusiasm rampant, but even the vernacular, like you said, Dan, totally freaking awesome, man, is so part of Mormon culture. Add to that Utah has some of the highest rates of fraud and personal bankruptcy in the country, and you have the perfect environment for a huckster and egomaniacal dingleberry like Schanze. There is a particular kind of arrogance to certain Mormon men as well, after a lifetime of being convinced that they are the most righteous and worthy beings on the planet, that you can just see in spades in Schanze.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they have magic powers too. Don't forget.
That's right. And a little magic vial of olive oil. We ever talked about that?
We should.
We should.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
As we're about to see, this arrogance and self-righteousness would cause Schanze to fly his paraglider a little too close to the sun. Cracks began to show in the totally awesome computer empire when in 2003 his former vice president and former friend, William May, sued Schanze claiming that because he, May, was not Mormon, Schanze had passed him over for raises and promotions. The suit was
it is probably 100% true.
Right.
Oh, it's got to be true.
Right. The suit was settled out of court, but Schanze's legal troubles were just beginning.
How did Schanze make a non-Mormon friend?
I know, and where did he find one in southern Salt Lake or northern Utah County?
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see. That same year, he was sued by another former employee for defamation, which ended up being dismissed. But it turns out that employee, Sherry Young, also alleged financial shenanigans, and before long the IRS began an audit of Totally Awesome computers and Totally Awesome guns and range.
Uh-oh.
Then in
That might be less than totally awesome.
Yep. Then in 2005, Schanze got into a confrontation with a group of neighbors over his driving.
God, I remember this.
It appears that in what would turn out to be a lifelong effort to overcompensate for something, Schanze would drive his black Jaguar at high speeds through his sleepy neighborhood. This had gotten so bad that finally a coalition of his neighbors confronted him. The confrontation got hot, and one of his neighbors picked up a rock and threatened to break his taillights, which caused Schanze to pull out a gun and threaten them.
Yeah.
The police were called, because even in America, you can't point your gun at your neighbors. By the time the police got there, Schanze had
these are all white people. We should probably...
Yeah, and I'm sure the question is going to get asked is, how does this guy continue to not be in prison? And I don't know. But I don't know. We'll talk about it.
It's not for lack of trying.
Well, this is America, and he does have money, or has had anyway.
Does he?
So,
So when the police finally showed up, Schanze had been surrounded by even more fed-up neighbors, and he railed to the press, quote, "This was a very simple case of frickin' psycho road ragers. They decided to be really nice once they knew I was armed. Their whole personalities changed. It was amazing." Adding, "It's just astronomically, ludicrously insane to tell the community that it's not okay to defend yourself." So,
What?
Yeah. He claims that he was defending
he
himself.
was the victim.
Yeah.
I feel like there were so many totally awesome double negatives in that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how shitty a neighbor you must be for the neighborhood to like coalesce around that?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes, I can imagine it. It happens
I've
all
had
the
some
time to me.
shitty neighbors, but we have never gotten to the point of pitchforks and torches before.
Right.
Like maybe just a note. Like,
Like-
hey guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
Although a jury would later find Schanze not guilty of the brandishing charge, he would be found guilty of lying to the police and misdemeanor speeding. This incident was the beginning of the end of his two businesses. Schanze had found himself enmeshed in a web of ethics complaints, lawsuits, an IRS audit, and now criminal behavior. It seems the good people of Utah had finally had enough of this live-action gritty, and Schanze was forced...
Don't you dare besmirch Gritty, hero of the revolution.
So Schanze was finally forced to close his
It's a
gun.
live action Cosmo, maybe. That's a BYU deep cut right there.
Let's see. He closed his gun store in 2005, followed by all 9 of his computer stores in 2006. At the announcement of his company's demise, Schanze railed at reporters saying, quote, "It's too bad that all of you in the media in Utah are liars and murderers." What? "You just destroyed the greatest computer company of all time. We are the murderers. We are the best in the world, the world champion. All this hatred was created by you. You're basically angels of Satan."
I had 9 storefronts that fixed shitty PCs in a fucking flyover square state.
Yeah.
I was the greatest.
Does that remind you of somebody?
Yeah.
Now, with the collapse of his two businesses, his public persona now fully past its sell-by date, and legal and financial problems mounting, I think we all felt we were about to be free from the public nuisance that was Superdell Schanze.
Yeah.
We were wrong.
We were wrong.
So
Can I just say that as a bit of foreshadowing, when I started to Google him, the drop down in the Google search thing, it said Dell. I typed in Dell SCH, and there he is, Dell Schanze. And underneath his name is a word that shocked me, which is what you're about to say.
Yeah.
what is
So
it?
Doug,
What is it?
It's politician.
It's
you
somewhat.
have to win an election to be a politician.
You have to be believable as a human being
Exactly.
to be a politician.
Well, somewhere along the way, Schanze got into the aforementioned paragliding, and when I say got into it, I mean he became obsessed. Now, I am not going to bag on paragliding in general. It looks like a perfectly pleasant pastime, except to say, if you've ever been around a group of paragliders, it's pretty fucking annoying. It's like every one of your neighbors decided to mow their lawns at the same time early on a Saturday while you're nursing a hangover. And in any case, Schanze was going to do for paragliding what Donald Trump has done for golf. At some point, Schanze founded his paragliding company. I tried to find out more about this company, which is apparently now named U-Turn USA. But in looking for it, I did a Google search for totally awesome paragliders, And the first hit, totallyawesome.com/paramotor, and this is true, takes you to an online pharmacy selling discount Viagra out of Canada.
Nice. Excellent.
Okay.
Hey, can you say that again? Let me just write that down.
In any event, in 2006, only months after his incident with his neighbors, in an effort to gin up sales, Schanze flew his paraglider way low over the freeway during rush hour traffic, possibly causing a minor accident. This stunt ended up with even more charges for Schanze, to which he ended up pleading no contest.
To be clear, he's not just doing paragliding, which is just with the sail. He's doing the thing where you strap the fan on your back, and then you can tootle around like you're a single engine
exactly
airplane.
And
Yeah,
so
you have a little more up and downy control.
I think it's paramotor.
There's like paraglide. It kind of is interchangeable in all the reading I did, but you're absolutely right, Dan. It's the meh thing.
It's the annoying one. He's not going to do the one that isn't annoying.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly right. It should come as no surprise that Schanze has not ended up endearing himself to the paragliding or paramotoring community. Among other shenanigans, he created the World Powered Paragliding Association, or WPPGA, which he claims tests and certifies paragliding equipment and records. This made-up association, unsurprisingly, has certified only one paraglider that meets its exacting standards.
I wonder who.
Schanze's own brand, the Flat Top Paraglider.
Oh my God!
Such a twist.
In 2000,
Why would you? I love that he named a company after his bad haircut.
I know. That, again, was over long before the 90s. In 2008, Schanze felt as though he had not inflicted himself sufficiently on the public. So as Uncle Dan said, he began first of several quixotic political campaigns. First for mayor of Salt Lake County, then for governor of Utah as a libertarian on a platform of banning abortions, expanding gun rights, and restoring freedom.
I love the idea of a libertarian being about banning something primarily.
Exactly. Schanze accused then Governor John Huntsman of being an antichrist socialist.
Oh my God. The son and heir of one of the West's most richest industrialists.
Yeah, and most conservative legacies. Although John Huntsman's not the most conservative of conservatives, but
no.
Yeah. So more on that particular campaign in a few minutes. In that same year, Schanze was charged and convicted of reckless driving and seatbelt violations stemming from an incident where he swerved into oncoming traffic, causing a driver to swerve off the road into construction cones.
God.
Turns out that driver happened to be Officer Michael Paletta, driving home from work in an unmarked police car.
Oh, no.
When he pulled Schanze over, Schanze's wife and 2 children were in the back seat. 2 of his other children were in the front seat sharing one seatbelt, and Schanze was unbuckled. He claimed he was swerving his car to make the kids laugh, but he swerved into oncoming traffic. I know. This guy.
That was his, I mean...
Yes.
Hooray for... radical honesty, I guess.
They were going to get ice cream, and Daddy didn't immediately call Child Protective Services to come get the kids. He was again arrested in 2011 in Astoria, Oregon, for parachuting off the Astoria column. He at first got away with it, but then posted video of it on YouTube, leading to his arrest.
Classic.
Turns out that his vanity would come back to bite him again. In 2013, and this may be why some other people besides Utahns know this guy, video appeared on YouTube of a man pursuing a migrating owl in a paraglider or paramotor for several minutes before finally twice kicking the exhausted bird. The man can be heard screaming, "Who's the predator?" and "I just kicked the owl in the backside."
Oh my God.
The video is...
Did he actually say backside?
He actually said backside because he can't say ass. God.
I can. What a fucking ass.
At least he's not a total Mormon hypocrite.
Well... the video is awful. You can watch the terrified bird grow weaker and weaker as this douchebag and his stupid lawnmower-powered overcompensator
laughing like a fucking jackass.
Yep, chase it down until he finally kicks it. The video was apparently posted by Schanze himself on YouTube, not knowing, or perhaps not caring, that knowingly using an aircraft to harass wildlife and pursuing a migratory bird are both misdemeanors.
And it was an endangered owl, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an endangered owl. Federal prosecutors, not generally known for their sense of humor, charged Schanze, and in 2014, U.S. Magistrate Judge Brooke Wells ordered that, as a condition of his pretrial release, all guns be removed from Schanze's house. It's hard to imagine the dark corners of a mind like Schanze's, especially when confronted by the federal government actually coming for your guns.
Right.
Yeah.
But even still, his response was, let's say, unexpected. Schanze had interrupted the judge several times during the hearing, and although she repeatedly asked him to stay quiet, she suffered his idiocy with calm dignity. Then in response to her order, Schanze yelled out, quote, "Are you aware that a human head was thrown through my picture window?"
I seem to remember that.
Wow, that is an impressive thing to bring out in court.
Certainly.
How's that for an October surprise,
It
Rudy?
pleases the court.
After a long pause, Judge Wells said that she actually was not aware of such an incident and cut him off as he tried to explain further, saying that random shot putting of severed heads would not affect the conditions of his pretrial release.
Right.
When questioned outside the courtroom about his run-in with the Headless Horseman, Schanze railed at the credulous reporters, quote, "I'm telling you the truth. You guys are liars. Nothing you say is true." Sound familiar? The irony of this is that the absolute best way to describe Schanze's physical appearance is Ichabod Cranish. Schanze ran for mayor of Saratoga Springs in 2010 and again for governor in 2012 and 2016, this time in the Independent American Party because the Republican Party had gotten too liberal for him.
Yeah, the Utah Republican Party.
Exactly. On January 2nd of 2019, Dell was charged with shooting his gun within 600 feet of a neighbor's house. He had set up a target practice range in his backyard, and
He's a menace.
he's
this
a
guy.
public menace.
Fucking menace.
Cops could hear the gunfires; they were approaching, and neighbors said they could hear bullets whizzing over their heads. During the trial, prosecutors listed many of his run-ins with the law, to which Schanze responded that his record reads like, quote, "a record of awesomeness," and that he was being, quote, a hero in the community.
Wow.
So that kind of brings us up to now. Like I said at the beginning, in my mind, this story could only really happen in Utah. But as I read up on this litigious, self-promoting fabulist with a towering ego and a series of wrecked businesses and disgruntled business partners in his wake, who has aspirations to public office on a far-right platform, something occurred to me. I'm not saying that Superdell Schanze is what Donald Trump would be if he hadn't been born rich. I'm saying that Superdell Schanze is what Donald Trump Jr. would be if he hadn't been born rich.
Yes.
And here's the thing. In 2008, he got something like 25,000 votes
Oh my
for
God.
for governor.
for governor.
Oh my God.
And I mean, we're a state of 4 million people, however many, but still. And if both 2016 and 2020 have taught us anything, we are stupid enough to elect a guy like this.
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean, not we. We're stupid enough to elect very different guys, but we as a state.
yes,
Not we uncles.
that's correct. I mean the royal we. Yeah. So, yeah, that's basically it, except for one little anecdote that I have been assured by counsel we are able to talk about on the air. And it just gives a fine little coda to this story. Back in 2008, Uncle Mark had left the country to work on a project and forgotten to secure his absentee ballot.
Okay. Hold on. Are we telling this
You
story?
were telling the story.
Are we sure? Yeah.
Okay. I've been assured by counsel we're okay about this.
Okay. So let me clarify. I was in Georgia. I was in Atlanta,
Oh, that's right.
and I had
So that's out of the country. That qualifies.
and I was listening to. It's in the Confederacy, and I was listening to the local Utah NPR station, and it was the run up to Obama's first election, right?
Yep.
A huge historic fucking thing. And
Yep.
Doug and I are very political, and we're very excited about it. But I'm also an idiot, so I'm listening to the radio, and it says like tomorrow or the next day is your last day to register for your absentee ballot in Utah. Well, I was in fucking Georgia.
Right.
So I panicked, and I said, I can tell this, right, Doug?
Yeah, of course.
And so I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I'm like, Doug and I look a lot alike. You guys know we sound a lot alike. Not that the clerk knows what we sound like. So I said, okay, Doug, I'm going to FedEx you my passport. And all I need you to do is go to the clerk's office and just register for an absentee ballot for me. That's it.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So that's all I asked you to do. I just want to go on record. That's all I asked you to do.
Well, so no problem. I got this. I'm consider myself to be, kind of 007-ish. So I took your ID and I went to register for an absentee ballot. And
Double D7.
I put down your ID and I'm like, I'd like to register for an absentee ballot. And the woman's like, well, why don't you just vote now? And I just kind of looked at her and I'm like, okay.
It would be weirder if you were just like, no, I'll take the absentee ballot and leave.
Exactly. I'm like, that's going to seem really strange. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to do this. So she hands me the form and it says at the top name and I write Doug. So I immediately just crumple the form up slowly and look at her and I'm like, can I have another form, please?
He fucked up his own name. Like, they should have known right then.
I know.
Oh, my God.
So she gave me this kind of side eye, but gave me another form, and I filled it out with the correct name or the incorrect name. And then I walked in to the room, and you had to hand your ID to the person as you walked in the room. And the woman took the ID, and she said, oh, it's almost your birthday. And I said, no, it's not. I mean, yes, it is.
Oh my God. You were the worst 007.
So you might be the dumbest spy of all time.
At this point, I am sweating. My mouth is dry. I'm like, I am going to be in jail by the end of the day. So
and I'm just at work being like,
oh my God.
So I managed to get in there. I voted for Obama, but as my vengeance for almost ending up in jail, I made Uncle Mark cast a vote for Superdell Schanze for governor.
That's just a perfect cap to that stupid fucking story.
Oh my God. So if anyone in the federal government's listening, I guess this will be our last podcast, but
right.
But yeah,
just remember, I'm not the one who committed the crime.
That's right.
Right.
It was me.
And also that was just a fake story, and it was just for fun, and we were just kidding.
So that's it. My confession.
Well, it's all right.
Holy shit!
That was a totally awesome story, Doug.
You're welcome.
Superdell 2024.
Oh my God! Yeah, look up his. Maybe we'll find a video of one of his commercials and throw it into the show notes, so that people can have something to chew on while they.
He looks exactly like you think he looks.
Yep, exactly. And
it's like Revenge of the Nerds meets Donald Trump. Yeah.
Let's get out of this.
His humor's amazing. Yep. Okay, bye.